An unknown actor is apparently trying to meddle in the 2020 primary process. According to the Associated Press, the Democratic National Committee has warned its candidates that an impersonator of a Bernie Sanders campaign staffer with a Russian domain registration has sought conversations with staffers of at least 2 other campaigns. Stay tuned. We'll keep you updated on that. Well, tonight, Democratic presidential candidates are pushing ahead towards South Carolina, the primary on Saturday, while also getting ready for the 14-state Super Tuesday just 3 days later. Bernie a little bit bruised after last night, and today, an important endorsement for Biden at a critical moment for him. Correspondent Ellison Barber reports.
Majority Whip James Clyburn, arguably the most influential politician in the state of South Carolina, is all in.
I'm voting for Joe Biden. South Carolinians should be voting for Joe Biden.
It's an endorsement the political world has been waiting for, and one that could send ripples throughout the Democratic primary.
Mr. Biden, will you
hours before Joe Biden made a bold prediction.
I will win the African-American vote here in South Carolina.
If you don't win South Carolina, will you continue in this
I will
race?
win South Carolina.
But the Democratic socialist who is narrowing the gap in recent state polls is warning supporters Joe Biden is far from the candidate Democrats want or need to beat President Trump.
That is not the voting record or the history that is going to excite people, bring them into the political process, and beat Trump.
Senator Bernie Sanders is now the clear frontrunner and took it from all sides of the debate stage.
Bernie and I both want to see universal health care, but Bernie's plan doesn't explain how to get there, doesn't show how we're going to get enough allies into it, and doesn't show enough about how we're going to pay for it.
We're not going to win these critical House and Senate races if people in those races have to explain why the nominee of the Democratic Party is telling people to look at the bright side of the Castro regime.
Vladimir Putin thinks that Donald Trump should be president of the United States, and that's why Russia is helping you get elected so you'll lose to him.
And one tried to referee.
If we spend the next 4 months tearing our party apart, we're going to watch Donald Trump spend the next 4 years tearing our country apart.
Look.
On Capitol Hill today, Speaker Pelosi was asked about Senator Sanders. According to the publication The Hill, when asked, she said she would be comfortable with Sanders as the party's nominee. Meanwhile, in Florida, 2 state Democrats are reportedly suing to try and keep Senator Sanders off of the ballot there, saying that an independent should not be on the Democratic ballot. Shannon.
Ellison, thank you. So, despite these signs now that Speaker Pelosi is warming to the idea of Sanders atop the Democratic ticket, establishment moderates continue to fret over the potential ramifications of Bernie Sanders carrying their flag, as Joe Biden promises his firewall is going to hold in South Carolina. It's debate time. Democratic strategist Kevin Walling and Fox News contributor Guy Benson join us. Gentlemen, glad to have you both with us tonight.
Hey, Shannon, good to see you.
Hey, Shannon.
You too. Okay, so let's start there, Guy. I mean, this idea that the speaker is now, I mean, she's the leader of the party. She's the one who has to worry about the House majority and holding on to it for Democrats. She says she's fine if Sanders is the nominee.
She has to say that. Of course she does, right? Because I think the Democratic Party is looking at the math right now. We're a long ways off from Milwaukee and the DNC, but there's, I think, a consensus that there's at least a good shot that Bernie Sanders will have a plurality of the delegates, if not a majority of the delegates. So this is a hedge from the speaker. She can't say and put her thumb on the scale saying, I'm not comfortable, this would be unacceptable, and then if the voters defy that sentiment, and then he's the standard bearer for the party, that'll be used against her. So she has to say something along the lines of, yes, I'm comfortable with anyone that the Democrats, my party in her case, puts up, and anyone would be better than Donald Trump. That's what they have to say for unity. Behind closed doors, if she's looking at the map of the congressional seats that flipped the majority into her favor, I bet you she's a little bit more concerned about some of the potential nominees versus others.
Okay, well, Dana Milbank, writing an opinion piece over at Washington Post, concerned. The headline is Sanders is stirring up a sickening sense of deja vu. He writes this: if Tuesday night's dynamic holds, Democrats are on their way to opposing Trump with a 78-year-old socialist who recently suffered a heart attack, who has had nice things to say about nasty regimes around the world, and who has a $60 trillion spending plan without the means to pay for it. Goes on to say the winner of Tuesday night's debate was Trump. Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, Shannon, I couldn't agree more with Dana Milbeck's piece and with Guy's take on the state of the primary. I mean, we're in total agreement.
This kumbaya time.
We're in total agreement that I think Bernie Sanders would be a disaster at the top of the Democratic Party ticket. Listen, I mean, we've got to protect our majority in the House of Representatives. The vast majority of those members of Congress who flipped those Trump districts from 2016 to 2018 have endorsed Joe Biden because they want him at the top of the ticket when they're running for re-election in Colorado, in North Carolina, in Texas, in the 5 districts we flipped in California, for example. So, you know, I think the strength is with Joe Biden coming out of that crucial endorsement. To Guy's point, Nancy Pelosi can't tip the scales as the speaker, but you know, Jim Clyburn is not just a member of Congress from South Carolina, the leading black official in the state. He's also a member of Congresswoman and Speaker Pelosi's leadership team. So I think that's an indication of where the speaker may very well be.
Okay, I mean, yes, the Jim Clyburn endorsement is huge there in South Carolina, and it looked like he was waiting to get past the debate, but it was Biden's to lose, and he has not done that. So there in South Carolina, there has been this anti-Biden ad that's running. It's using a bit of former President Obama audio. Turns out it's him reading from his book that's 25 years old, and he's imitating another character or portraying someone else in the book. So he feels like this has been totally out of context. He stayed out of this thing, but now he and a spokesperson have stepped up to say, you got to stop using this audio to demand that this thing be taken down. Now, Jennifer Rubin over the Washington Post loves it. She says, fabulous scoop, 2 points. Trump's still deathly afraid of Joe Biden and wants Bernie as opponent. And when do Dems get off the sidelines to endorse/make clear this is what's going on? Guy, do you think they will? I mean, listen, former President Obama has stayed out of this thing. Do you think he's going to feel a sense of duty to come in and support his former vice president?
Well, as usual, he's leading from behind on this one, and I'm not sure he's going to get off the sidelines because I think he's nervous and a little cognizant about the same factor and the same phenomenon that I just mentioned with Speaker Pelosi. He doesn't necessarily want to get involved and feel like the establishment is coalescing around someone, because that could actually help a Bernie Sanders. Look, the ad that you mentioned is absolutely dishonest. It does not portray Joe Biden and what Barack Obama said. Honestly, I agree with that. I'm also not sure it's going to matter. I think that Joe Biden has found his footing in South Carolina. He had a pretty good debate. It's, you know, sort of a sliding scale for him, grading on a curve for Joe Biden, but I think probably his best debate, the Clyburn endorsement. The polling seems to have gotten better. I'd be surprised if he does anything other than win South Carolina by double digits on Saturday. Then the question becomes, what happens next? Super Tuesday, there's a couple really strong states, delegate-rich states like California for Bernie Sanders. I think even a good showing from Joe Biden, yes, it could get him back in the race, up from the dead, but not necessarily in the clear. I think Bernie still in the driver's seat here.
Very quick final word, Kevin.
Yeah, I think to Guy's point, I think the vice president is going to win South Carolina on Saturday by double digits. That's going to be 72 hours of great news coverage saying that the campaign is back, which is exactly what he wants to take into states like Virginia, Texas, California in Super Tuesday.
Yeah, and if he falls anything short of that, I think people are going to be very disappointed. The expectations are there for South Carolina. We shall see. Kevin and Guy, thank you both.
Thanks, Shannon.